I went down to my local bar a couple of weeks ago. They have a pretty good happy hour. Drinks aren't really all that cheap, but between 4 and 7 they have a free appetizer buffet. It's not that healthy, and it's the same kind of stuff you'll find in the frozen food section of your local supermarket, but it's good to eat once in a while. Slowly drink a $5 beer, watch whatever's on TV or talk to whoever is hanging out at the bar, and eat a few plates of taquitos. I saw this girl there I knew, or I thought I knew, from a while back, and at first I wasn't sure I knew her, but she kept looking my way and smiling at me, and then it clicked, and I remembered who I knew this person from. I remembered that I used to be really attracted to this person, but I never really did anything about it. Not sure why. But she came over and started talking to me, really friendly. Before she sat down, I checked, and I didn't see a ring, nor did I see a mark from a ring. She was really friendly. She carried most of the conversation, and she even asked for my number. I thought I was in like Flynn. I read an article that says a lot of young people are going to church, not to find Jesus, but as a way to meet like-minded people. I guess since most of modern society is a dumpster fire train wreck being driven by drunken clowns, meeting people the old-fashioned way is hard. In the old days, before the dark times, you could just hang out at work or whatever and just meet some decent people. Now you have to put in a lot of effort to meet people. It's not something that humans ever had to really do. Up until about a decade or so ago, people would just kind of cruise through life, collect friends and a social circle along the way, and call it good. Now you have to put in a superhuman amount of effort just to meet people that aren't vampires or cannibals or shape-shifting reptilians who want to eat your soul. I saw this lady give a lecture a couple of weeks ago. She had written a bunch of books on psychology, and she used to be a Harvard professor. Her talk was about something called instinct mismatch, how modern society is a train wreck because all of our instincts are being fed junk food. Another lady was talking about something similar. This was at a church, but she wasn't preaching. It was at a church because they also have non-Jesus related community service type things. She wasn't a professor, and she didn't have any credentials. I think this was just a crazy person talking about crazy things, but these crazy things were really interesting. Her theory, or some theory that she copied or stole from somebody else, was all about how you can check the health of any society by the structure of their collective hallucinations. This person said our most important instinct is how well we can hallucinate. Ancient humans who were the most successful could create their own gods that they used as helpers and role models. The ones that could imagine these gods, the strongest, were able to create the strongest societies. But another variable is how tethered these hallucinations are to society, because hallucinations can sometimes take on a life of their own. This person didn't explain exactly how this happened or how to do this, but ancient people were much better at this since they had a lot more unmet needs. The more unmet needs that are coupled with strong, coherently directed desires, the more strongly your hallucinations can be put to work. For example, if you have 1,000 people who have a very strong and unmet desire, they can create powerful hallucinations and make them real. Once this hallucination becomes real, it can do actual work. This can create actual wealth. Those that can do this can actually leverage this hallucination to create energetic systems that do real work. This, however, is bound by the second law of thermodynamics. The work that this collective hallucination can do must come from somewhere. One way that ancient humans were able to leverage this was by living near natural vortexes of energy. This is why ancient societies are where they are. And that's why subsequent societies were all built on ruins of previous societies. She was saying that we have lost our ability to do this because we can no longer do this. We can no longer create wealth. Because we can no longer do this, we can no longer reach your potential. Because we can no longer do this, we can no longer achieve peak thinking capacity. Because we can no longer do this, we can no longer achieve peak telepathic skills. She said it's only a matter of time before we mean revert, that we are too far above the average level of energy used to maintain our current society for much longer. And when we do mean revert, it's going to cause a lot of anguish for a lot of people. That's why she stopped working for Harvard. They wouldn't let her say things like this. If you are going to church to meet people, you need to be careful. A lot of manipulators, con artists, and gaslighters hang out in church for this very reason. They know there are a lot of young seekers there, and they know that these people are the easiest to take advantage of. She called me 3 days later. I recognized her number on my phone. She said she wanted to meet me at her church the coming weekend. I said, sure. I was pretty excited. But then I looked up the name of her church online. It was a hardcore fundamentalist Jesus church, and it's run like an MLM, a Jesus network marketing scam. The more Jesus you sell, the more status you have within the church. It's based on the theory that only a few select people will get into heaven. And in order to get into heaven, you have to have a few 100,000 people in your downstream, that only the high-level sellers of Jesus will be allowed into heaven. Kind of like a Jesus pyramid scheme. She wasn't being friendly with me because she liked me. She was only trying to sell me some Jesus so she could increase her chances of getting into heaven, because only the people at the top of the Jesus pyramid will get into heaven. The people at the bottom have to remain in this clown show of a society for all eternity.